Thank you. It's okay, great diversity event. Here comes the white guy. And but I'm going to talk about a topic that is very interesting. I think my wife was more nervous for me to do this when I told her. She's like, "Oh, please don't say anything dumb." But this is a super important issue, right? And I was very appreciative of Yvette to ask me, to talk about this topic. I don't know if I am an ally, right? I don't think that's for me to judge. I think for that, someone else has to say I'm doing a good job of that or not. But I definitely believe I'm on an ally journey. And I want to talk about kind of three things that I think anyone who wants to be on that journey needs to start thinking about, right? And there's a million. I mean, I could have, this could take all day to talk about. But the three big ones that, kind of come up for me were, the first thing to do is we just have to recognize if you're white and if you're a man, what the dynamics are in this country, racial, gender dynamics, right? You just have to sort of own those, and you don't have to apologize all the time for it, I think people that I talk to sometimes like, well, I don't want to have to apologize for being a white man. It's like, no one's asking you to apologize for that. They're asking you to recognize it, right? Recognize what comes with that privilege. So, I'm sitting down with my daughter's boyfriend. She's 27. And we were talking about this topic this weekend, and he was saying, well, I recognize where my privilege has come from economically, right? And he was kind of listing the things that got him to where he is today. But he said, I don't understand, exactly where being white has advantaged me, right, in that case. So then my wife and I sort of just kick in immediately. It's a few things, like the idea that you don't worry about your kids being pulled over by a police officer, right? Or your parents didn't worry about that. And, from a woman's side, from a race side, we just kind of listed all these things. His eyes were kind of open to that, right? And I think it's just that admission is the first step. And understanding the place that we have, even if, you believe, well, I've been, I've been an ally, I've done all these things. If you don't recognize this kind of stuff, you can't call yourself woke. And by the way, I'll never call myself woke, right? So that was one, big thing. And then the second was to actually start to listen to voices of people of color and women. And take a back seat a little bit. And this is another discussion that we had this weekend where it's like, but he's like, I'm not a bad guy, right? Like, shouldn't my opinion be part of all this? I'm like, it's kind of like, you've been at dinner, right? And one person's been talking for 2 hours. And, someone else jumps in to talk a little bit, five minutes, and the person who's been talking for 2 hours is like, well, I still got more to say. It's like, hold on. You've had your time, you've had your piece, right? Just hear the other voices, listen to that, and it's not that anyone gets diminished. And I think this is true when you sort of see the reaction of white people to these conversations and men to these conversations, is like that we're suddenly going to be pushed to the side. And I don't think that is it at all. First of all, it's not possible, right? Just the way the power structures are in this country still, right? That's not going to happen. But then secondly, it's about sharing it, right? It's about sharing all of this. I don't think anyone's saying take, take, take. That's never the message. It's about sharing and listening and maybe taking a back seat for a little while. And then the third one is about using your sphere of influence, right? To really call out racist ideas and actions at work and at home. And I don't want you to pretend that race doesn't exist, right? And that's not the point, right? You've got to understand where people have come from, where their journey is, why things are happening in this country the way they are. But then at work, you've got to start to make change. I love what you were talking about, both of you, right? Those are fantastic things. We're certainly on a journey within my team inside CompTIA, so I've got about 30 people on my team, and we have become more diverse, but we are figuring out, all the things that we need to do. Just as you were saying, right, you have to have a diverse candidate pool. Right? That group of finalists, there needs to be diversity in there.